to thank you all again just for making time to come here. I know it's hot. I love that our children are already out there, getting a sweat on. Today we're going to talk about something called resilience. I'm talking about training students to become leaders in their area. Not leaders like me, not leaders like you, leaders in their own areas of passion. I was not born resilient. I was taught to be resilient, right? And everything from my mentors to my teachers, right, helped me along the way. To be honest, especially right now, right, the past 3 years, COVID, learning, challenges, economy, so many things, right, have been challenged, right? And so, to me, I would regard talent to me as a teacher, as a mentor, is nothing, right? There's plenty of examples of wasted talent, people with talent who don't do anything with it, right? For me, what I care about is resilience, or another word is grit. What do you care about? What do you want to do? And what are you doing to get there? That's what I want to build, right? Because success doesn't come as a straight line, right? I love this quote. The only constant in life is change. Always change, right? Who expected after 3 years of COVID, our economy is still struggling, right? Business is struggling. Everything is struggling. Everybody's working so hard. You don't plan for that. The only thing you can plan for is, again, what you're going to do next, your next step, right? This is what we try to do in our after schools at camp, in our mentorship practice with admissions consulting, and also in our school here at True North. To me, I want to make this very clear to you, right? Resilience to me is a muscle. It's a muscle. It's a skill. The more you practice it, the better you get, right? If you don't go to the gym and you expect to be fit, that's not going to happen, right? New Year's. Every time we have New Year's resolution, I'm going to be fit this year, right? And then I go to the gym, and then after 1 month, I go away because it's just too much time, right? Resilience is the same way. You only grow resilience if you as a parent coach and force it, right, over and over again. For any of the parents who have ever sent students to our summer leadership camp, especially at Yintu, where we walk up the mountain, right? I've walked up that mountain 7 times now. For me, when I guide students, just like when I was back then, doing this, what I just tell students, what I help students, right? People ask me, Tommy, how do you help students do all these hard things, right? I just tell them 1 foot at a time, right? Just 1 feet at a time. Don't worry about the end, right? 1 feet at a time. Just 1 step at a time, 1 day at a time, right? The Navy SEALs, like famous special forces, Tuksubude, right? They have a famous thing they say, right? Where the hardest day was yesterday. The hardest day was yesterday. That means that today should be easier, right? And so when my students have a hard time, how do I help them? I help them to either, again, I know they want to quit. I know they're tired. I know it's hot. I know they're sweating, right? Nobody wants to do things like that, like when they do climb up Yintu, right? But for me, I just quietly support them. Take another step, take a breath, we'll keep going, right? Eventually, after 3 hours, they make it to the top, or anything else they do. Whether it's this, whether it's test prep, whether it's anything else, right? That's how I mentor students. I'm going to share a few stories of our students, how we develop them, right? They're both right now going to Hanoi, Amsterdam, right? Top school for the gifted. This is them actually when they were much smaller, 5 years ago, 2019. Our first summer camp, right? Great kids, great attitude, but they had a lot to learn, right? Back then, instead of climbing a mountain, we used to make students run a 20K, right? And then from there, again, coaching, mentoring. I've been coaching them for 5 years. The both of them now graduating. This is my head of admissions consulting. Viet Zhang, the younger of the twin, is going to the University of North Carolina, top 25 school in the US, 100% scholarship. Pretty big deal, right? University of North Carolina, top 25 US university, number 2 public university, Berkeley, UNC, right? 100% scholarship. His brother, right? Ninh Zhang, right? Has multiple offers, Michigan State University, University of Texas, Dallas, right? He ultimately decided to go to University of Texas, Dallas for computer science, right? Also heavily scholarshiped, right? Almost 100% as well, right? Very proud of our students in terms of the journey that they made with us. To me, these are all the 8 practices that we focus on students, right? Whether it's in our admissions consulting, our mentorship, whether it's at camp, right? Or also here at our school. I'm going to go quickly through it, and then Zhang, things that we can talk about. But these are things you can practice at home. 1, be intentional. Be intentional with your goals, right? We talked about choosing extracurriculars. That's so small, right? In the beginning of every school year, you should sit down and have a goal with your child. Like, son, daughter, what do you want to do this year for your schools, right? Last year you were very good at English, math, but science maybe was struggling. Is that something you want to build on, right? So help your child, whether in school, out of school, at home, with friends. Maybe you have a bad relationship with mom, right? Maybe dad, right? Maybe something we discuss about how do we improve our relationship together, right? Do we take more time together, right? Be very intentional with your time, right? It keeps purpose involved, right? Teach delayed gratification, meaning like teach patience. You have to teach suffering. I hate to say this, but it's true. Children need to learn to suffer a little bit, right? We're not like deep suffering, but some suffering, right? We need to teach them that you don't get everything you want right away. You want a new iPad, you want a new AirPod, you want whatever, right? What are you going to do for mom and dad to achieve our goals together for me to gift this to you, right? We need to set goals, we need to set time, right? We need to be deliberate. Foster supportive relationships, right? Besides building good relationships with mom and dad, you need to teach and you need to enforce, you need to make them have good relationships with teachers, with friends, with everyone, right? It's actually easier said than done, right? But why? Because those people, one day when you want to do other things, the act of networking, soft skills, those people will help you, right? You want to go into a competition, you want to go to a university, we need a letter of recommendation, right? If you're a bad student, if you're a bad person, people aren't going to help you, right? We need to teach them those things. This is very important. I'll help you along the way. Teach kids to recognize and name their feelings. I come from a generation where we do not talk about feelings. Men do not cry. Men do not talk about feelings, right? If you're sad, if you're upset, if you're going to cry, go outside. That was my generation. That's not the correct way. We need to teach children from an early age, right? When they're upset, when they're angry, right? When they're crying, you need to talk it through with them like an adult. The faster you talk to your children like adults, the faster they will behave like adults. If you talk to your child like a child, they will act like a child. But if you teach them, hey, you're angry, you're upset, talk to mom while you're angry. Talk to mom, oh, you didn't get this, right? But is this an appropriate response? Help them through their feelings. Help them understand their feelings. Help them name their feelings. Because if they don't understand it, they're going to grow up to be an adult who doesn't ever talk about their feelings and is always upset about it and is always holding it internal, right? The act of talking about feelings and frustrations helps them become more intellectual, helps them become a better communicator, and helps them better communicate with you. It is very important, right? Other things, teach kids to ask for help. I don't think I need to explain this, right? For me as a mentor, right, I want to empower students. I want them to build a plan. I want them to act. But I also want them to know that I'm here, right? I don't want them to suffer alone, right? Be that source of guidance. Whether they ask you for help, whether they ask a friend for help, or whether they ask a teacher for help. Asking for help is not only normal, it should be the practice, right? Do not suffer alone, right? Develop a range of coping strategies. This goes through everything from enforcing students to work out, go outside, go for a walk. You're frustrated, you're upset, you lost the spelling bee. Go for a walk. Let's talk about it afterwards, right? Don't try to fix problems right away. It's a long-term strategy, right? Working out is good because you don't have to work out like, super big, but it releases stress, right? Release the stress physically, everything else will happen. This is super important. Give kids a chance to practice their life skills and fail. Parents, Vietnamese parents, Korean parents, any parents, you are terrified of your students failing in class, failing in extracurricular, failing in competition, failing in university, right? It is important that you let them fail in a measured way. By that, I mean develop a plan with them, but let them act. And you have to let them fail within a safety net. If you do not let students fail within K-12, within 18 years old, if they have never experienced a deep failure, when they fail as an adult, you're not going to be there, right? And the first time they fail deeply and they don't have you, they're not going to know what to do. You need to teach them to fail within their plan and then help pick them back up, right? Learning to fail intentionally is very important, right? And then this one, model gratitude, meaning learning to say thank you, right? Learning to say thank you, learning to be thankful for where you are at teaches a lot of gratitude, or it teaches a lot of resilience, right? I know this is not what I want. I know I didn't get my number one goal, right? But I'm grateful for the opportunity. My first language, believe it or not, was Vietnamese. I did not learn English until I went to my first day in preschool. So my parents, who didn't understand English, how did they teach me for the spelling bee? So in the spelling bee, every year you get a grade list. There are hundreds of words, if not thousands of words, right? And my mom was like, Tommy, you're gonna memorize every word. My mom did not understand how to actually read words. She would try to read it, right? She would like G, Colonel, Colono, right? Colonel and Colono. So I would practice in my head every day, every night, just weeks after weeks. Colonel, K-E-R-N-E-L, Colonel. Colonel, L-E-N-R-E-K. I would remember it front ways, I remember back ways. That's how I remember. That's how my mom, who didn't understand English, taught me English. This was grade 6. There are 2 students left. Me, one more competitor. I had a chance to win. Grade 6, I had a chance to win. 2 students left. They gave me the word. Tommy, your word is Colonel. K-E-R-N-E-L, Colonel. The response, Tommy, that was a good attempt, but that is not the right Colonel. I lost. My mom and dad are always right. How can my mom be wrong, right? That is not Colonel. My mom taught me. This is Colono. Colono, C-O-L-O-N-E-L. My mom is always right. She tells me she's right. So how can I be wrong, right? My frustration, and this is the last thing on the spelling bee, is just like, I'm sorry, son, you're wrong, right? The correct spelling of Colonel, right, is what we're talking about here. I remember my mom driving up to the school in the car. I go in, I'm upset. I open the door, I look down, and the first word to her was, you lost again, right? For me, I don't want to talk too much on that. You don't do that, right? I love my mom, by the way. I love my mom. All right, but back then, I just remember being so upset. I lost because of you, Mom, right? I lost because of you, because you taught me wrong. Of course, later I would realize my mom did the best she could. My mom did the best she could, right? I was upset, I was annoyed, I was angry, right? But for me, I was like, I tried so hard to get here. I listened to my mom, I practiced my mom, and I still didn't get there. For me, my gap was I had to help my mom. My mom was good at teaching me, forcing me to do things, but I had to do different. I had to learn definitions, right? And so that's where I adjusted my strategy. I actually eventually went on to win the California spelling bee, so all California, and I made it to the national national levels. I'm not that good. I didn't win the, everything, but at least for me, I would next year, grade 7, grade 8, I would win the California spelling bee and I would move on. But it's an adjustment, right? For me, it took time. My mom also knew when I told her how I had failed, she also understood where she was not able to support me. She gave me space, she gave me time. She adjusted the way that she would nurture me as well, right? She had to change the way that she was going to teach me, right? And that helped me overcome this. At our camp, 2 weeks long, we're hosting it this year at Yen Tu, also Nha Trang, and then also in Bangkok, right? It's a 2-week camp, and we practice a lot. I love camp. I love camp. Why? I love camp because it's an opportunity to take students away from their natural home or school, right? And allow them to be themselves in a different setting, right? I started working in camps 5 years ago. I've been working camps now for 5 years. To be honest, in the beginning, I didn't really understand it. But watching hundreds, if not thousands of students go through, the opportunity to learn and learn in a setting away from parents, practice being responsible, doing activities like waking up, working out, right? Attending classes, meeting new friends, exploring new activities, right? To me, I've watched a lot of our students. We talked about Viet Giang, Ninh Giang. We talked about Thao Trang, right? All of our students started with camps. And this is where they fostered the beginning of their resilience, being independent, being a decision maker for themselves, right? So I'm very excited about this. Our final note in terms of talking about resilience, right? I do love this quote. You can experience happy moments without resilience, but you can't live a happy life without it, right? The only purpose in terms of again, my purpose, my mentor's purpose, is to help children become the best version of themselves. Why else would I do this, right? I have opportunities to do other things, same as my teachers, faculty, staff, right? But our passion, our desire is to help students find the best version of themselves, right? And in this, my own product of experience, 38 years old, right? I've taken many steps to get to where I am and endured a lot of challenges. Same thing with all of you, right? And to me, besides academics, the next most important thing is helping our students build resilience to prepare them for the changes that you may or may not be around for, right? Because to me, being resilient, being able to adapt is the best way to help you find your own happiness, which is I want in all of our students. If you have interest in our camps, right, we invite all students, whether you're coming to whether you're staying in Hanoi, our camp over in Yen Tu, also going to Nha Trang or Bangkok, right? Very excited to welcome you. I will be present, at least in the Vietnamese camps, so in Yen Tu and also Nha Trang. Or if you wish to learn more about True North School, right, what we do here, right, our curriculum, our practice, whatever, we also have team members in the back supporting you as well. Thank you all.